them up. What's new? What's up? Все здесь туда. Watch film, movie. But yeah. Stop eating. Встречи. Кто вообще не пишет на эту почту?
He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. He started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
He made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
you said you're Abraham Lincoln.
No, where did that? No.
You said,
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm saying,
I didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put tens of thousands of black men, mostly, in jail.
Oh my gosh, just Joe Biden in pain at the level of the conversation. Joining us now from the debate site in Nashville, the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms. Mayor Bottoms, so he says there's no one who's done more for the black community than him. What has President Trump done for the black community?
Well, he's put us on the receiving end of COVID-19, and he's given us the highest death rates in the nation. That's what he's doing for the black community right now. And I can tell you, as an African-American sitting in that audience, I was incensed that he would have the gall to even compare himself to Abraham Lincoln. And when you watch him, you can't help but wonder, does he really believe what he's saying, or does he want us to believe what he's saying? But at the end of the day, what I saw on that stage last night was a man who reaffirmed the reasons that he's not qualified to be president of the United States.
How did Joe Biden do last night? Or I'll put it this way, what were his strongest points and what were his weaker moments?
I thought that he did a great job last night, and what struck me was the empathy and understanding that he showed last night. When the question was asked about African Americans and their experiences, he went into great detail because he understands. He talked about the difference in someone making $300,000 a year and someone wearing a hoodie and being treated the same. And I know that from personal experience because my husband's been profiled as a shoplifter before. And I was so moved at his level of understanding and his empathy. I thought he did a great job last night. He spoke directly to the American people. He was the adult in the room once again, and he reminded people of his experience and also his vision. Donald Trump didn't have a vision for this country. As a leader, as an elected official, if I spent every day talking about 4 years ago, I get thrown out of office. All Donald Trump does is talk about his slights, his personal perceived slights. He doesn't offer us anything for the future. And it's the reason that we are in the midst of a pandemic right now in America, when countries across the globe have been able to turn the corner on this.
Mayor Bottoms, it's Willie Geist. Appreciate you coming on again this morning. I want to ask you about your state of Georgia. You know, for a long time now, Democrats have said it'll be a swing state someday, but we're not quite there yet. Georgia hasn't gone for a Democrat in a presidential race since '92, when it narrowly voted for Bill Clinton. But poll after poll that we've seen over the last several weeks has it within the margin of error for Joe Biden against Donald Trump. So what are you seeing? What are you hearing on the ground? And do you think it's a winnable state for real for Joe Biden this year?
I definitely think the numbers are there. We saw that in our last gubernatorial race where there was a 55,000 vote difference. a lot of that was driven by the number of African Americans that are registered in the state of Georgia. And what we're seeing thus far is a record turnout. The question that remains to be seen are all of these early voters, people who were going to vote anyway and they've just shown up early. And what I've said repeatedly is just to remind people not to fall for what happened in 2016, where we thought we had it in the bag and people thought their votes didn't matter. Every vote counts. We still need people to show up. We had glitches the first few days of early voting. Surprise, surprise, that's the story of Georgia. I was a bit concerned when I went to vote a few days ago that there was no line. So I think part of that is because many of the glitches have been worked out. But again, Democrats have to show up because the numbers are there in Georgia. We can solidly turn Georgia blue, but we're not going to be able to do it by staying at home waiting on someone else to do it
Really? Yeah. No denial.
for us.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.
Лёша, ты чего?
Чего? Не ловит ничего. Антенну переношу.
Номер перенеси. Ужастики в интернете смотреть можно.
Дарим 1000 рублей на связь за перенос номера.
Vous voulez créer vos propres émotes en seulement quelques clics? Choisissez un style de dessin. Personnalisez votre look.
I feel like we've gotten past the garbage mistakes like, you know, follow for follow, or like the obvious advice like stream on a schedule that has just been beaten into your minds on every single advice video ever posted about Twitch. I've been streaming on Twitch for almost 4 years now, and I spent years making these mistakes that I didn't realize I was making until I started growing, and then I was able to look back and say like, oh my gosh, these were not only like not good things, these were bad things. And I don't think people realize that they're bad things because they sound really great in theory. And while you'll see like any advice channel pointing out the mistakes that like the brand new streamers make, I want to talk about some of the more subtle ones. Mistakes that I've seen streamers, not only that have like, you know, between 1 and 5 viewers, but streamers that have like up to 50 viewers. I've seen them make these mistakes. The intentions are always good. The effort is there. I see what they're trying to do. We just need to sidestep just a little bit, and we can turn those mistakes into really great practices. So let's do it. Let's talk about them. Let's get them out in the open, and let's fix them. There's a good chance you're saying to yourself, well, Harris, why should we trust you with this? Why do you know better than we do? I get that. That's fair. Let's address that. And then let's move on to these. Just a little background about me. If this is your first time in the channel, I've been a full-time content creator for 5 years. I started on a music. We had an amazing social media career. We watched our relevancy tank a little bit based off of not only algorithm changes on YouTube, really just kind of destroying the music scene, but also mistakes on my part and really just a great learning experience. You know, your parents always say like, oh, it was a learning experience when they're talking about something really crappy that happened. You're like, no, it sucked. And they're like, no, you learned from it. It was a good thing. We're gonna move past that. I had a learning experience, but I've worked with massive brands like Microsoft, Google, Nissan. My wife and I were on screens in Times Square for Gap ads. Anyway, I've been in the industry for a very long time, and I've screwed up in this industry. I've learned the things that help people grow, and I've learned the things that keep people from growing. And trust me, when you used to have millions of people watching your content and then you have a hard time getting thousands of people to watch your content, you spend a lot of time reflecting on what did I do wrong. And so this video is my way of helping you not make those mistakes that I did. And most of these are just minor adjustments that you can make to put yourself back on the right course. In fact, a lot of these are just plain misconceptions and wrong ideas people have about how growth happens on social media and on places like Twitch. So anyway, let's get into it. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell if you want to be annoyed with every time I upload a video twice a week. I'm really selling it well there. Yes, hit the bell button so I can irritate you. And if you have any further questions after this video, make sure you follow me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening. Link to my channel down in the description below. Okay, number one, let's talk about the only one in this group that I've actually said multiple times before this. There's a misconception. I've heard big streamers say, if you're not live, nobody will find you. And that is a lie. Because in 2019, weakness is, well, intimacy. There are plenty of people who, when the camera turns on them, they put on a face, they're a totally different person, the camera goes away, and they go back to being bland, vanilla, totally boring, not even that friendly people. I'm not talking about anyone in particular, by the way. This is not a hit piece. The point is, you can fake a YouTube personality. You can't on Twitch. Recognize these both as tools in your toolbox for your social media career. If you want to get discovered, spend time on YouTube. When you want to spend time cultivating those relationships, spend time on Twitch. And you need to find that balance. But I just watched a YouTube video recently talking about how you shouldn't stream big games. You should stream smaller games to help you get discovered. And that's just flat out wrong. If you look at your Twitch graph over here, what you're doing by playing a game you're not interested in is you're sacrificing your genuineness. You're sacrificing your integrity to just add a tiny bit more discoverability. And you know, honestly, I would even argue that it's not really helping your discoverability at all. You're hurting yourself much more than you're helping yourself by choosing a game based on what's going to get you discovered. Whereas if you create your best content where you can be your best you over here and then spend your time on a platform like YouTube to get yourself discovered, that's how you're going to grow. I would definitely recommend you spend time observing each of the platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Try to figure out, why do you go to each platform? How can you cater to the type of person that uses that platform that way? Can I just add one more insight to this before we move on to the next one? This is probably going to be the longest one out of all of them. But I have a friend who has done a very good job of figuring out Reddit. Has a massive